What's going on, y'all? It's been a while since I made a video. Just life, taking care of priorities. Anyway, we're diving back into the vision of Arda Viraf. Now, if you haven't watched any of the videos on this series, Arda Viraf was basically a Zoroastrian chosen, uh, not really a prophet. Oh, well, I guess you could say he was a prophet, but was given visions through a ritual practice where he sees the afterlife. And that's why it's titled Dante's Inferno before Dante's Inferno, because it actually predates Dante's Inferno. And Artavirov travels to the afterlife, goes to heaven, sees obviously his God and his prophets, not other religions. And that was very important to point out. But we're going to go ahead and continue with, I believe it's chapter 60, 60 or 61. All right. And I noticed last video, it really only showed my URL bar. I don't know why that was the case. I'm trying to show the book itself, but let's see if this changes it. So hopefully this works. Either way, hopefully you were able to listen and follow along with the story. And here we go. So yeah, last video we were actually chopping up about chapter 60. The man who basically um, his whole body became sinful, but his right foot, uh, because his right foot acted in the service of good. Um, let's keep going here. So chapter 61. I also saw the souls of those wicked who swallowed and voided, and again swallowed and voided. Now this is Arda Viraf speaking. He saw the souls of the wicked. And I asked us, what souls are these? Obviously, Shiros the pious and Adar the angel said, these are the souls of those wicked who, in the world, believed not in the Spirit, and they have been unthankful in the religion of the Creator or Mast. They have been doubtful of the happiness which is in heaven and the torment which is in hell, and about the reality of resurrection of the dead and future body. So here we have people who just doubt the idea, doubt the Zoroastrian religion, and their punishment is that they eat and eat, swallow, and then throw up. And every time they eat, they throw up. Okay. I also saw the soul of a woman who ever gnashed her own bosom and breasts with an iron comb. And I asked thus, what sin was committed by this body, whose soul suffers so severe a punishment? Soros the pious son Adar the angel said thus, this is the soul of that wicked woman who in the world despised her husband and master or guardian, and became and remained vile, being also herself untrue to him and acted improperly with other men. So this is a woman who basically, you know, possibly adultery, possibly cheating, uh, and the punishment is just hurting her own body with with an iron comb. God, that's like this is obviously intended to scare people into submission and discipline. Saying don't do this because if you do, this is what's going to happen. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. But see how it's kind of like down to a science, like kind of inexact restitution for one punishment or one sin, and this is the punishment. Let's keep going. 63. Saw the soul of a woman who ever licked a hot oven with her tongue, never burnt her own hand under the oven. And I asked, what sin was committed by this body whose soul suffers so severe punishment? So notice the distinction between what sin was committed by the body, and now the soul is suffering the punishment of what occurred in the body. That's very important in Zoroastrian doctrine and teaching. Source the pious Adar the angel said, this is the soul of that wicked woman who in the world offered defiance to her own husband and master and became abusive. She also was disobedient and did not grant cohabitation at his desire. So she basically said no to sex to her husband. And she stole property from her husband and secretly formed a hoard for herself. So she even stole his property and accumulated a wealth, basically. And what's her punishment? Licking a hot oven with her tongue. That's crazy. So, um, this religion itself kind of has died out. There's not really a lot of adherents, as far as I know. And the adherents that are uh, around, um, you'll find a gambit of people who are conservative, liberal, all of that jazz within Zoroastrianism as we know it today. Thank goodness. You know. Anyway, let's keep going. I also saw the soul of a woman who ever came and went crying and wailing. Upon her head also ever came pelting hail, and underfoot hot molten brass ever streamed, and she ever gashes her own head and face with a knife. So this woman gets hit with hail constantly. Her feet get burnt by brass, and she cuts her own head and face with a knife. That's terrifying. Let's find out what she did to deserve this, right? Obviously, soul is being punished for what was done in the body. So, and it's rose to Pius, Hadar the angel. This is the soul of that wicked woman who undutifully became pregnant from other men, and she effected the destruction of the infant, abortion, or infanticide. Because of the pain and punishment, she fancies that she hears the cry of that infant and she runs. Oh God! And such vehemence of running is occasioned as of one who walks upon hot brass. She ever hears the cry of the infant and gashes her own head and face with a knife and demands the child, but she sees it not till the reestablishment of the world. Frashgerd, which is the saving grace of this religion, is that hell is not eternal, that the punishment will end at Frashgerd. Oh, chapter 65. Also saw the souls whose chests were plunged in mud and stench, and a sharp sickle ever went among their legs and other limbs, and they ever called for a father and mother. And I asked us, who are these souls, and what sin was committed by them, whose souls suffer so severe a punishment? Sros the pious and Adar the angel said, these are the souls of that wicked who in the world distress their father and mother, and ask no absolution and forgiveness from their father and mother in the world. So they're getting cut by a sickle, which is like a knife, because they caused their father and mother distress. Look, man, you say that's kind of extreme, but the disobedient child should be stoned to death in the Hebrew Bible. I mean, this predates that. Well, not necessarily the vision of Arda Viraf predates it, but Zoroastrianism as a religion predates Judaism. As far as we know, that could change based on data and all of that stuff. Uh, but we understand the Babylonian captivity of the Jews, where those ideas of heaven and hell, eternal punishment, punishment after life come into play from Zoroastrianism. Also saw the soul of a man and woman, tongues were put out and ever gnawed by the jaws of serpents. What sin was committed by the body of these? These are the souls of that wicked who in the world ever committed slander and embroiled people together. People committing slander, their tongues are put out and serpents eat their tongues. Yeah. This is terrifying. Imagine being a child and being taught this. Behavior modification by terror. Oh man. So to speed it up, I'm not going to say the Arda, the angel, source the pious, all of that. I'm just going to go on the points. So, soul of a man was suspended by one leg in the darkness of hell. He had an iron sickle in his hand and ever gnashed his own chest and armpits, or loins, and an iron spike was driven into his eye. Let's see what punishment, or let's see what sin he did to deserve this punishment. This is the soul of that wicked man to whom a city was confined for administration, and that which was proper to do and order was not done and not ordered, and deficient weights and measures of capacity and length were kept, and he listened to no complaints from the poor and from travelers. I mean, if you're in charge of a whole city, that makes sense that you hold a higher punishment because you had a higher responsibility. Saw the souls of a man and a woman, they were dragged, whom they ever drag, the man to heaven and the woman to hell. And the woman's hand was caught in the knot and sacred thread, the kutsi of the man. And she said thus, how is it when we had every benefit in union among the living, now they are dragging thee to heaven and me to hell? Now see what it says. The man said, because whatever things I received of the good and worthy and the poor, I also gave them back. And I practiced good thoughts and good words and good deeds. I also heeded God and disregarded the demons. Now I've been steadfast in the good religion of the Mazdaeans. But you despised the good and poor and worthy and travelers. You also disregarded God, and you worshipped idols, and practiced evil thoughts and evil words and evil deeds. You have been steadfast in the religion of Ahriman and the demons. And the woman said to the man, among the living, you yourself were completely Lord and sovereign over me, and my body and life and soul were yours, and the food and income and clothing which I had were from you. Then wherefore did you not chastise and punish me for it? You have not even taught me the reason of your goodness and excellence, whereby you might have caused goodness and excellence in me. And so now it would not be necessary to suffer this evil. And afterwards the man went to heaven and the woman went to hell. And owing to the repentance of that woman, she was in no other affliction in hell, but darkness and stench. And that man sat in the midst of the pious of heaven in shame for not converting and not teaching the woman who might have become virtuous in his keeping. I still do not care. It is sexist as hell that that man still gets heaven with a little bit of shame and guilt, and that woman gets total darkness. Anyway, let's keep going. I saw the souls of women into both whose eyes a wooden peg was driven, tied by one leg, head downwards, and many frogs, scorpions, snakes, ants, flies, worms, and other noxious creatures, crop stars, went and came inside their jaws, noses, ears, posteriors, and sexual parts. And I asked, what souls are these? What sin was committed by them? Who souls so severe a punishment? These are the souls of those wicked women who had a husband in the world and slept and granted cohabitation with another man, and the bed of the husband was kept defiled and his body injured. Sleeping around is a no-go. I saw the soul, but only if you're women, looks like. I don't know, I haven't seen. Well, let's keep going, but like also this religion is Middle Eastern, so there's a cultural cohesion with all the Middle Eastern religions in regard to status of women and men. Let's just keep going. I saw the souls of women whom they threw head downward, something like a hedgehog which had iron spikes. Grown from it, it was introduced into the body and dropped back, and from it a finger dropping the semen. Okay, guys, this is extreme. Just gonna say that. It's extreme. So please don't let kids watch this. I do make sure I don't post this for kids. And kids shouldn't even be worried about religion. They should be kids. Okay. The reason I think this is important for adults is to understand each other, but not only that, to recognize the there is no religion that is safe for you to believe. If you choose this one, you by default are not choosing this one. So the punishments that come from that religion are yours by default. And I think that's important to point out. But anyway, let's keep going. And from it, a finger dropping the semen of the demons and demonesses, which is stench and corruption, ever went into the inside of the jaws and nose. And I asked, what are the souls who suffer such a punishment? These are the souls of those wicked women in the world, broke promises to their husbands, and they have stayed away from the husband and been never contented and granted no. So they never gave sex to their husband. Okay. Saw the soul of a man whom the fangs of serpents stung and ever gnawed, and in both eyes snakes and worms ever voided. And an iron spike was grown, scraped upon the tongue. And I asked, what sin was committed by this body who suffers so severe punishment? This is the soul of that wicked man by whom sodomy was much committed, And through a desire for improper lust, he debauched the wives of others. And his smooth speaking deceived and seduced the wives of others, and separated them from their husbands. Okay, let's keep going. Saw the souls of women by whom their own menstrual discharge was ever devoured. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to read, but I'm shocked. I'm shocked by this stuff because I didn't know it was out there, and hopefully this just helps you take your own views and religion and put them into a filter like this. Because if you doubt this experience of Arda Viraf, on what basis do you doubt or deny that he actually had this vision? And what basis do you determine the vision of your religion as authentic and true? Because it's in a book? This is also in a book. That is not a good test of reliability. Let's keep going. Their own menstrual discharge was ever devoured by these women. These are the souls of those women who heeded not their menstruation and injured water and fire and the earth of Spandermod and Hordad and Amurdad and looked upon the sky and the sun and the moon and injured cattle and sheep with their menstruation and kept the pious man polluted. I don't understand that. If anybody has background on that, help me understand it. I do understand the part of it being that the elements are also parts of the good and the bad. There are good things that were created by Ormas, and there are evil things created by Ahriman, Angermanu or Ahriman. So all of creation wasn't done by one deity in a sense. There isn't a creation like the deity comes and he creates. Well, yeah, actually, that kind of is the case, but you have two Eternals, not one. It's not monotheism in a sense. So let's continue. All right, look, I don't know if you guys can see the screen, but the title says makeup. So, bro, we are getting into like this is very sexist. I'm sorry to say it, it's sexist. Um, I do not hold to these views. I am just exposing these views, expressing these views, so that we can see how far we've come as a human species. Hopefully, we've come far. Souls of women who ever shed and sucked and ate the blood and filth of their 10 fingers, and worms ever came into both eyes. Who are these souls, and what sin was committed by them? These are the souls of those wicked women who beautified their faces with makeup and kept the hair of others as ornament, and they captivated the eyes of the men of God. God damn! To wear makeup? The punishment is eating the blood and filth of their 10 fingers, eating your fingers, and worms coming into both eyes. Now, obviously, we have to keep in mind that these are souls. So, what do the fingers of souls and blood, what does that even look like? Like, how would we even conceive that? And this is where we get into the idea of things being spoken in a human sense to give us this bullshit excuse that um this isn't it's not to be taken literal, it's figurative, it's showing this grotesque thing, but it's not literal 10 fingers, it's not literal blood, it's not that's the bullshit excuse that people use to shy away from the stuff written in religious text. Say, oh well, it's using that as an example. An example for what? Oh, you can't tell me because it's only telling me this. So I can't take this at face value. But I'm supposed to believe it at face value? Let's keep going. Gosh, utterly. Ugh. Souls of those who remain tied head downwards by one leg, and a knife was driven into their hearts. And I asked, whose are these souls? These are the souls of those wicked by whom in the world beasts, cattle, and sheep were unlawfully slaughtered and killed. I don't know exactly what that means. Unlawfully slaughtering livestock? I don't know. But basically, you're unlawfully slaughtering livestock and you're getting a knife driven into your heart, the heart of your soul, whatever that looks like. Souls were thrown under the feet of cattle, struck by the horns, and their bellies torn and bones broken, and they were groaning. Who are these people? These are the souls of those wicked by whom in the world the mouths of beasts and plowing cattle were muzzled, and water was not given to them in the heat, and they were kept at work hungry and thirsty. Cruelty to animals. You're getting your belly torn open and bones broken because you did not give water to your cattle and you muzzled them. Here we go, women again, being singled out. Souls of women who ever lacerated their own breasts with their own hands and teeth. And dogs ever tore and ate their bellies, and both feet stood on hot brass. Okay, let's see what they did. These are the souls of those wicked women who in the world prepared food during menstruation, and brought it before a pious man and bade him eat. They also ever resorted to sorcery, and they injured the earth of Spandarmod and the pious man. Guys, I'm in shock. I want to flip this laptop over. Because she gave the man food and she was on her period, she is punished with lacerating her own breast with her hands and teeth, and a dog tearing and eating her belly, and her feet standing on hot brass. What is this shit? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Souls whose backs, hands, and legs had wounds, they were suspended with the posteriors to the face. Oh, I guess the sentence can also be read head downward in brass. The form Avitakt for melted, and heavy stones ever rained in their backs. This torture is extreme, man. Who are those? What sin? Let's see what sin was committed by them. So they had beasts of the world and appointed them hard work. And they made the burden unlawfully heavy and gave no sufficiency of food, so they suffered through leanness. And when sores ensued, they were not kept back from work, and no remedy was provided. Now they must suffer such severe punishment. Cruelty to animals again. All right, let's keep going, guys. I think I can finish this in this video, and I hope to, because honestly, I'm not trying to uh, do a deep dive on this necessarily. I just want to expose the material where you can go and read it yourself. Say, is this something I really want to listen to, follow, or teach this to my children? Oh, let's keep going. I saw the soul of a woman who ever dug an iron hill with her breasts. And an infant cried from that side of the hill, and the cry ever continued, but the infant comes not to the mother, nor the mother to the infant. Okay, what was committed? This is the soul of that wicked woman who in the world became pregnant, not from her own husband, but from another person. And she said thus, I have both been pregnant. She also destroyed the infant. So she was pregnant and she destroyed the infant to hide that she was pregnant by someone else. Okay, let's keep going. Saw the soul of a man whose both eyes were scooped out and his tongue cut away, and he remained suspended in hell by one leg. His body also was ever raked with 24 brazen prongs of a fork, and an iron spike was driven into his head or heart. Okay, what was committed? This is the soul of that wicked man whose justice in the world was false, and he took bribes and made false decisions. I'm okay with that. Nope, go ahead. You go be suspended in hell by one leg with 2 brazen prongs of a fork, an iron spike driven into your head and heart or heart. Go ahead. I'm okay with that. We should not have corrupt judges. Your ass should get that punishment. I like that one. All right, let's keep going. Then I saw the souls of several who remained suspended head downwards in hell, and they forced the blood, filth, and brains of men into their mouths and convey excrement into their noses. and they ever cry thus, we keep just measures. Who are these bodies? What sin was committed? These are the souls of those wicked by whom in the world weights and bushels and other small measures were kept short, and things were sold to men. So they lied, falsifying measurements. That's what you get. But guys, I mean, oh my days. Is there no nuance here? Family, a man trying to feed his family? The price is going up, so the pound has to increase. I mean, is there any nuance in here? And that's the problem with religion. There's no nuance. You do this sin, you get this punishment. There's no nuance. But man, life is not black and white. Let's keep going. Saw the soul of a woman whose tongue cut away, her eyes scooped out, snakes, scorpions, worms, other noxious creatures devoured her brain and head. From time to time, she seized her own body with the teeth and gnawed her flesh. What sin was committed? This is the soul of the wicked woman who was in her lifetime an adulteress. She also practiced much sorcery, and much mischief emanated from her. Soul of a certain woman whose tongue was plucked out. This is the soul of the wicked woman whose tongue in the world was sharp, and her husband and master was much troubled by her tongue. Sexist. Women can't speak. Man was troubled by her tongue. What? Okay. Soul of a woman who ever ate her own dead refuse. This is the soul of that wicked woman who in the world ate much meat, concealed from her husband, and gave it to another person. So eating meat, guys. Eating meat. Okay. Soul of a woman whose breast they cut off and her belly was torn and the entrails given to the dogs. This is the soul of that wicked woman by whom in the world poison and or liquor, infusion of opium were made and kept, and given by her people to eat. The drug dealer, manufacturing and distributing narcotics. That's what you get, torn belly. Let's keep going. Soul of a woman, soul of a woman, soul of a woman, soul of a woman, soul of a woman. God, it's all women mostly. Soul whose body they construct an iron coating and they turn back the mouth and put it back to a hot oven. This is the soul of that wicked woman who was among the living, the wife of a well-disposed and intelligent man, and she broke her faith to her husband and slept with a sinful and ill-disposed man. Soul of a woman through whose body a grievous snake ascended and came forth by the mouth. What sin was committed by this body where the soul suffers so severe punishment? This is the soul of that wicked woman who violated a next of kin marriage. Don't know what that means. Let's keep going. Soul of a woman who ever scraped her own body and face with an iron comb and ever dug an iron hill with her breasts. And I asked, what sin was committed? This is the soul of that wicked woman who in the world committed a crime and through her desire for wealth gave no milk to her own infant, and now she ever makes an outcry. Here let me dig into this hill that I may give milk to that infant, yet until the re-establishment of the world she does not reach the infant. I love reading that. I love reading the re-establishment of the world because this is terror. All my days, this is horrible. Soul of a man, hey, we got one, who remained suspended head downward from a gibbet and ever had sexual intercourse, and they dropped semen into his mouth, ears, and nose. And I asked, what sin was committed? This is the soul of that wicked man who in the world committed improper sexual intercourse and deceived and seduced the wives of others. Then I saw the soul on those who on account of weakness were dashed about from side to side in hell. They ever kept crying on account of thirst and hunger, cold and heat, and noxious creatures ever bit out the back of their legs and other limbs. And asked us, what sin was committed by those of these souls who suffer so severe punishment? These are the souls of those wicked whose food and clothing in the world were consumed by themselves and not given by them to the good and worthy. They exercised no liberality whatever, and they kept themselves and the people who had come and remained under their control hungry and thirsty and without clothing. So they suffer cold and heat, hunger and thirst. Now they are dead, and their wealth has remained for others. Now the soul suffers so severe a punishment from their own actions. They're kept in thirst and hunger, cold and heat. Soul of those whom serpents sting and never devour their tongues. What sin was committed by those? These are the souls of those liars and irreverent or untruthful speakers who in the world spoke much falsehood and lies and profanity. Cussing, profanity, is considered a sin in Zoroastrianism. Lying and profanity. Unfair judge. Soul of a man who slew his own child and ever ate his brains. What sin was committed? This is the soul of that sentencing judge who made unjust decisions between applicants for justice and plaintiffs, and defendants were not looked upon by him favorably and justly, but through a desire of wealth and covetousness he shouted at suitors with anger and severity. Souls of those into whose eyes a wooden peg was driven. These are the souls of those malicious ones who kept back benefits from mankind. Souls of those who were fallen headlong into hell, and smoke and heat were driven upon them from below, and a cold wind from above. These are the souls of those who in the world gave no place, nor caravanserai for travelers, nor lodging, nor space, nor baking oven, or who gave them and took hire for them. Then I saw the soul of those whose own breasts were placed upon a hot frying pan by their own hands, and were ever turned from side to side. What sin was committed by these women? These are the souls of those who women gave their infants no milk, but emaciated and destroyed them, and for worldly gain gave milk to the infants of others. That's messed up. Soul of a woman who ever dug a hill with her breast. A lot of these are redundant, same stuff. She didn't give her infant milk. Okay, let's keep going so we can finish this up. Soul of a man whose tongue was cut out, and they ever drag him by the hair and scatter about the dead refuse. What was committed? This is the soul of that wicked man who in the world took seed and said thus, I will sow it, and he sowed it not, but ate it, and the earth of Spandarmad was defrauded. So not sowing the seed in the ground is defrauding Spandarmad. Sorry. Falsehood. So of a man and woman whose tongues were cut out, sin was committed by these bodies, souls, fear, punishment. At least with this one, there's a man and a woman. Let's keep going. So of that wicked man and woman who among the living spoke much falsehood and profanity. Oh, here we go. This one's pretty interesting. Chapter 98. Ate Nasa and killed an otter and other sacred animals. So of woman and man who voided and are up the excrement. Oh, and ate up the excrement. That's probably what it meant to say. Typo there, not on my part. What sin was committed? These are the souls of that wicked man and woman who in the world devoured dead refuge through sinfulness, and killed the water otter in the water, and smote and slew other creatures of Ormazd. Oh, disobedient to rulers. Many souls are wicked men and women, and they even suffer terrible, fearful, hurtful, harmful, painful, dark, hellish torments and punishments of various kinds. And I saw souls whose tongues were scraped with a wooden peg. They ever went down into hell head foremost, and the demons ever plowed their whole bodies with an iron comb. Sorry, there's typos in the text. What was sin was committed? Souls of those wicked who have been disobedient unto their rulers in the world, have been enemies of the arms and troops of their rulers. Now they must have here suffer pain and punishment and torment. Chapter 100, Ahriman the devil. Then I saw the evil spirit, the deadly, the world destroyer, whose religion is evil, who ever ridiculed and mocked the wicked in hell, and said thus, why did you ever eat the bread of Ormazd and do my work, and thought not of your own creator, but practiced my will? So he ever shouted to the wicked very mockingly. Epilogue. This is the end. Here we go. Afterwards, Shorts the pious and Adar the angel took hold of my hand. This is Arda Viraf, and brought me forth from that dark, terrible, fearful place, and carried me to the eternal light and the assembly of Ormazd and the archangels. When I wished to offer homage before Ormazd, and he was gracious and said thus, a perfect servant art thou, pious Arda Viraf, the messenger of the Mazdayasnians. Go to the material world, and as thou hast seen and understood, speak truly to the world, for I who am Ormazd am with thee. Everyone who speaks correct and true I honor and know. So say to the wise. And when Ormazd spoke in this manner, I remained astonished, for I saw a light, but I saw nobody. I also heard a voice, and I understood that this is Ormazd. And he, the creator Ormazd, the most munificent of spirits, said thus, speak thou forth, Arda Viraf, to the Mazdayasnians of the world. Thus there is only one way of piety, the way of the primitive religion, and the other ways are all no ways. Take ye that one way which is piety, and turn ye not from it in prosperity, nor in adversity, nor in any way, and practice good thoughts and good words and good deeds, and remain in that same religion which, as received by him from me, Spitaman Zarathustra and Vishtasp made current in the world. That's a Zoroaster. Spitaman Zarathustra. And hold the proper law, but abstain from the improper. Be ye also aware of this, that cattle are dust, and the horse is dust, and gold and silver are dust, and the body of man is dust. He alone mingles not with the dust, who in the world praises piety and performs duties and good works. Perfect are thou, Arda Viraf, go and prosper, since every impurity and purification which you perform and keep, and everything which you keep lawfully, and the purification and ceremonial when you perform them, in like manner, mindful of God, I know them all. And when I heard those words, I made a profound bow to the Creator or Mast, and then Srosh the Pious conveyed me successfully and courageously to this carpeted place. May the glory of the good religion of the Mastayastians be triumphant, completed in health and pleasure and joy. Thank you guys for following this. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this because I think it's wild. I think it's stuff that I'm going to think about for a long time because there's always good with tons of bad. I mean, you're reading this, soul of a woman, the soul of a woman, this woman, this woman. The punishment doesn't seem to fit the crime. It really doesn't. I mean, even the most horrendous punishments, it seems like the women get the worst of it. Uh, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But anyway, that concludes the vision of Arda Viraf, a Zoroastrian text written in Middle Persian from the 9th century. Um, I believe it has a earlier text because before Dante's Inferno. Um, Obviously, Dante's Inferno is a Latin rendition of hell, that whole idea. But a lot of people aren't aware of this one, and I thought it was very important to point it out. And if you've read Dante's Inferno and then you read this, you can let me know what you find as far as similarities, disagreements, what you think is more terrifying. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching. Hopefully, it was educational. Share it if you guys liked the video, if you guys like this kind of obscure stuff. Don't you know, why not subscribe? I'm not gonna make you subscribe. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And that's all good. Appreciate it. Peace.